Well, good evening, good evening, good evening. This is the Minister M.L. Kimball coming to you live on behalf of the Fcn Watchdog Media News Media Group, as well as Word on the Street Talk TV Worldwide. If you haven't had a chance, please like, share, comment. Don't forget to subscribe. One of the things that I want to do here is I want to, first of all, make sure that we are connected on all of our platforms here. So give me 1 second. Because we got to talk about this, guys. We have to talk about what is on the screen and what you guys are seeing and we're just not gonna let this slide. We're gonna just make sure that all of our platforms are listening in. So one of the things that I'm very proud of is what we did when we started Fcn Watchdog Media. One of the things that, I find as a civil rights activist that there is a lot of dirty hands as it pertains to law enforcement, judiciary, attorneys, and there's really no oversight over these different entities because they're all licensed from the same exact party. So this is where the scam begins, in my opinion. And I know some of you guys will agree with me when I say this, but the scam begins here because at the end of the day, how in the world are you licensing? And then at the same time, I'm supposed to trust that you're going to give me a fair shot when it comes to misconduct pertaining to these guys. And so the reality of it is there's so many times where we want to sit back and say, oh, I trust the system and I trust everybody that works for the system. But then at the end of the day, every single day, there's somebody in the system that is wearing, dirty hands. They're not living. They're in other words, living file. And what I don't like is the fact that we as citizens, we are the people that are supposed to be represented by these individuals. These are people that supposedly take the oath when they sign for the their license. They take the oath to the Constitution and they say, oh, we're going to make sure that we do everything we can to uphold the Constitution in every way we can. But yet we find different situations like this. Here's yet another scamified judge that has been caught with dirty hands. And so those of you that are supporting Fcn Watchdog Media, we really appreciate it. Like I said, we're growing and growing and growing. I can't believe the support we have now because we're not just out here attacking businesses and just trying to go after the innocent man. But if you are calling yourself a public official in any capacity and you're living like a scam, we're going to expose you to the public and make sure that the public is aware of all of the scams that you are getting yourself that you are involved in. Now, here it is, this scamified judge. I'm going to start off by reading the actual article, and then I'll go ahead and provide some commentary at the end of it. But I want to start with the article. It says the Ohio Supreme Court suspended Geauga County Common Pleas Court Judge Timothy Grendell for judicial misconduct after he incarcerated 2 teenagers who refused to visit their father. I'm going to stop right there. See, this is the problem. These judges that are getting appointed and elected to sit in the chair, they must be reminded that you are elected to uphold the law. You're there to interpret and judge the law. That's what your job is. Do we have to go back to a class of social studies? That's what your job is. So why are you, Mr. Judge Timothy Grendell, even getting involved in something that is domestic involving visitation with a child? That's the problem. I believe that these judges do not have the right to get involved in those matters. Why? Because at the end of the day, your job is to judge the law and interpret the law, you scam. So basically, he incarcerated 2 teenagers that refused to visit their father. Now, I need somebody to please explain to me, like I'm a 2-year-old, where is that in the Constitution? Where is that in the Bill of Rights? Somebody please explain how a scamified judge by the name of Timothy Grendell can sit up there on the bench and put 2 teenagers in jail because they refused to visit their father. And if I got news for you, if you think that every single judge that's sitting on the bench is doing the right thing, I got news for you. You're sadly mistaken. I'm dealing with a judge that signed a falsified fake ass protection order against me with no evidence to support anybody in any type of fear. And what did they do to me? They stripped me of my Second Amendment rights. I can't carry a weapon anymore because of a lie that an attorney decided to cook up because he was mad that we were exposing him. Shenever Law Firm. So it's in the Supreme Court case. But like I said, I had to reference that here because I need you guys to understand that there's more scams in the court than there are not. You better be careful with these attorneys that you're hiring. Don't think for 1 second that the judge has your best interest in heart, every single judge. Now, I can't sit here and say every single judge is horrible and living foul. I'm not going to be that guy. I'm never going to be that guy. I'm not going to say every police officer is living foul. But there needs to be a community action oversight that looks over these different departments and makes sure that people's civil rights are not being mistreated. Because at the end of the day, the people that are supposed to sit over them are licensed by the same department. So what kind of a scam is that? So I'm supposed to trust that they have my best interest at heart, and yet at the same time, they're all licensed by the same scam? Get out of here. I need for the community to get together with us and like and share and comment and support Fcn Watchdog Media. We're not asking for you to put a bunch of money and donate a bunch of this or that. All we want you to do is share our information because you might need us one day. Because let me tell you something else. The news is selective of what they want to air on the news. You can have all the evidence in the world, and because it's not juicy enough for the mainstream news, they're not going to cover it. If there's no casket involved, you're not going to get Al Sharpton on the phone. You're not going to get Ben Crump on the phone unless there's a casket and there's an opportunity to make dollars. But if that is not the case, it's not going to happen. You can give it up. Try to look for a civil rights attorney. They almost don't exist. That's why I had to become a pro litigant myself and a pro se litigant myself. And guess what AI says when you type in my name? It says I'm ranked in the top 1 to 5% across the United States when it comes to pro se litigants. So I think I know what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you right now, these judges, these attorneys, these officers, they all need to be put under a microscope. And it doesn't need to come from some scamified department that is all in cahoots with them. I'm tired of that scam. Oh, call special affairs. Well, special affairs, you might have just had lunch with them, you damn scam. I'm supposed to believe that you're going to call special affairs and they're really going to come down on you. That's not the way it goes in real America. So I need for the community to stop the games and support our mission here, which is to put these scams on blast and do whatever we can to file complaints, rally, whatever it is. Because how long did this scam sit on the bench? How long was he permitted to be able to do whatever the hell he wants to do? Somebody has to explain this to me like I'm a 2-year-old. How long was he making decisions based on how he felt instead of based on what the law says? Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about it. I don't care if you're a judge, you're an attorney, you're a cop, you're a scamified business. I don't give a damn. If your information comes across our desk, we're going to put you on blast. You're going to be exposed. And this information was handed to me. I didn't look for this. I didn't even know this was out there. My good friend texted this to me. And so guess what? It fits right in what we're doing. This scam should never be elected again. He's suspended right now, but how long is that suspension? And when it's up, he should never be back on the bench again. You know how that doesn't happen? When this community comes together and says, no more of the scam. Who in the hell told you that you had the right to lock up some teenagers because they chose not to go see their scamified dad? How many people have a scamified dad? Can I raise my hand? There's times where you just, hey, you don't force me to go see a scam. Let's see why they didn't want to go see the dad. My son comes and sees me almost every day. So don't give me your scam. Don't give me your scam. And this guy that calls himself a judge had no business doing this. According to the article, it says the state's high court suspended the scam from practicing law for 18 months, but 12 months of the suspension will be stayed. See right there, there's his little slap on the wrist. That's where he gets the slap. Oh, don't do it again. I think is every single case that this scam has ever made a decision on needs to be audited. That's what I think. What do you mean 12 months of the suspension will be stayed as long as he don't commit additional misconduct? So forget all the years that he could have been doing some dirty shit. We ain't gonna say nothing about that, right? The guy is a scam. He shouldn't be a judge. And how do you give him 18 months but 12 months suspended? You know, I just don't understand the slap on the wrist, guy. You were violating the law and the Constitution that you chose, you signed up hold. So what do you mean? He will be immediately removed from the bench and required to pay $23,179 in court costs. So basically, he only got a slap in the wrist, on the wrist. Says Grendell, a longtime judge and former state lawmaker. So this scam wasn't not only a judge, he was making laws. This is what I'm talking about. If you don't think the dirt starts in Congress, it ain't just the White House. It's not just Donald. They all got some dirt, skeletons in their closet. This scam, you're not going to make me believe one bit that he wasn't doing scams back then. Walks like a duck, it is a damn duck. He was probably scamming people 20 years ago. He was accused of judicial misconduct, including blocking a mother from administering COVID-19 tests on her children. Well, see, that's what I mean. He has too much info. What are you doing, Judge? How do you have this much power? You are a scam. Who gave you the power to tell a mother what she could and couldn't do when it comes to medication or testing her children or any of that, you scam? It says incarcerating 2 boys who refuse to visit their estranged father. He was also accused of violating prohibitions. I can never say that damn word. The violating stuff he was prohibited to do against judges testifying about legislation unrelated to the legal field or their expertise. Grendell testified on a bill that his wife, then state rep. So he's got a wife that's a state rep. pitched to require the state health department to report COVID-19 statistics daily. The state Supreme Court did not discipline Grendell for testifying on the bill, saying that he had First Amendment right. Grendell replaced his wife in the Ohio House in 2000 when she left due to term limits. He served in the General Assembly until 2011 when Governor John Kasich, that was the scam that was over Ohio before, appointed him to the Geauga County Common Pleas Court bench. Grendell's wife later returned to the Ohio General Assembly. So they basically, so the Board of Professional Conduct recommended that Grendell be suspended for 18 months with 6 months stay. Justices on the Ohio Supreme Court make the ultimate decision on what discipline to met out to judges and lawyers who violate legal ethics and laws. Grendell, a Republican, fought the disciplinary case, which has been more than 2 years in the making. So the scam is alive. There are still scams going on, even when it comes to these judges, attorneys, all of them. Like, share, comment, and don't forget to subscribe. You may need us one day. We're putting this information out for you to see the scam. This guy needs to be removed. He doesn't need to be suspended. They need to remove his ass immediately, in my opinion. Till next time.